Edith's motor transport belies the fact that she lives a very simple country life in the peace and quiet of a hidden corner of Hampshire. Fred Mouland at 81 enjoys more sedate travel. Jenny and Bambi with their donkey cart are all he needs to fetch and carry fuel and fodder. A widower, Fred, like Edith, enjoys the old-fashioned ways of making a living in his unspoiled part of Sussex. Both Fred and Edith embody a unique spirit of rural life, which sadly may soon disappear forever. Edith Windybank was born in the isolated village of Farley Chamberlayne, the daughter of a gamekeeper. She's lived within 2 miles of her birthplace ever since. Her life has revolved around the village, its church, and the weekly Women's Institute market held in nearby Romsey. Widowed 15 years ago, Edith's home is an ancient farmhouse, nestling in the sheltered hollow below Farley Down, where she lives with her brother and son. There's a sense of isolation here, as if nothing much has changed in the last 50 years.
When I was young, my father was one of 32 gamekeepers on Hursley Estate, rearing pheasants in the spring and summer, and then getting ready to shoot them in the winter. That was his work. It was a very big estate. It stretched almost to Winchester and almost to Romsey. In those days, they used to walk for miles, where now they got a Land Rover and that. I went out with my father around the estate, and he taught me to love the countryside and to look after animals. We always had dogs, but not cats, because they would take the pheasants' eggs. It was very nice, not like it is now, all rush and tear. You could always walk wherever you wanted to go. When I lived with my grandmother, I learnt a lot because she was always cooking. She taught me to make sponges and everything in the way of cakes that you can cook. If she got cross, her hair used to stand on end. She always said she was afraid of nothing or nobody. She used to walk to Winchester every Friday and sell her eggs. One Friday on the way coming back, some man stopped her and asked her for her money, and she wouldn't give it to him. After that, she always carried a little tiny pistol with her, and she said she would shoot them in the legs if ever they stopped, anybody stopped her. No one ever stopped her after that. I keep geese and chickens because I've got my own eggs then for cooking the cakes, and the geese are as good as a dog if anybody's about, and they're very good company. When I'm feeding the geese, they poke their heads through the wire and try to peck me, so I catch hold of their necks then. It doesn't hurt them, but then they can't get at me. I've got a moped that I ride to go to Farley Church nearly every day of the week. I've been riding it about 30 years now. I've never passed my test. I don't like going into towns on it, for one thing, and you don't have to pass a test now. When I ride, I go about 30. You've got to be careful because there's so many bends in the road. I'm the verger at the church. It's called St. John's, and it's a lovely church, and it's very, very peaceful, and it's always nice and cool in there. My family have always had connections with Farley Church. My son and daughter was married there, and nearly all my nieces and nephews have come to be married at Farley Church. And christenings and burials have also been there. When I go up to Farley Church, I've got to dust it, clean the brass, and then I just put the flowers in, and any dead ones, when I go up in the week, I take out. Also, one of my jobs is to light the gas lights. I think they give the church character. My husband is buried in Farley Chamberlayne churchyard, and I go right round the church every time I go up there and see his grave and take flowers up. I just say a little prayer. My husband's been dead 15 years. We all miss him. But it's not so bad for me as it is for some people, because I've got sons with me and grandsons that's always here.
You want some more bread? You want some more bread, do you?
We have family gatherings on a Saturday or a Sunday, or both days very often.
Some more chocolate cake.
They all enjoy their food very much, and they're always hungry when they come here. And when they go, they say, we'll be back again next week. My family's always been very strong and healthy, because we always made all our own jams, chutneys, marmalades, everything.
Don't believe that one.
They never touch the sides.
I'm the sort of person that's always cheerful and likes to help everyone.
Do you want some bit of cake?
I've never been depressed, and I've never been bored in my life yet.
Don't wet my tea, George.
It was worth a try, wasn't it?
I have my eye on you. Didn't we?
I love cooking, so I always like to be in the kitchen, because I like making things for the WI and to give other people. I do get orders for sponges and fruit cakes, mince pies, small cakes. But I think the most popular is bread puddings. I make bread puddings by soaking the bread first in water, then squeezing it out, then crumbling it up, then I add the sugar and spices, mix that in, then the fruit, eggs, and then the lard last. And I cook them for about half an hour. They're said to be delicious, but I don't like them. Although I've got diabetes, I still like cooking and that, though I can't have it myself. But I like making things to give to other people. On Wednesday, I make sponges, fruit cakes, seed cakes, and all those things for the WI market. Then on the Thursday, I make apple pies, mince pies, jam tarts, bread puddings, up till 3 o'clock in the morning, so it'll be all nice and fresh for the market. And I'm often going to bed when my son gets up to go to work. I've got cake tins here, which was my grandmother's, which are well over 100 years old. When I'd been a member of the Braceville WI market for 50 years, they had a special card made for me. I don't get tired, because I like cooking. On Friday morning, the hall is full of excitement, and people are queuing up to get in, often just after 9 o'clock in the morning, and we don't open till 10. When the customers do come in, it's a terrible rush and a crush to get to the table where the cakes are especially. And within half an hour, they're all gone.
one of the last of the era, really. She's a country woman, born and bred, but she's also one of the kindest-hearted women that you'd ever find. She really is. Yes, and our market wouldn't be the same without her, really. I mean, this is the thing. Where would people be if they couldn't get their bread puddings from Mrs. Winterbank?
Well, I think she's a very generous person. She's been in the market for a good many years. She'd rather give things away than put prices onto her cakes. We were always on to her that, well, you must charge more. But she's a bit stubborn as regards that. But otherwise, she's a wonderful person. She really is. She'd help anybody.
People keep telling me I should rest more, but I don't want to, because I enjoy what I'm doing. If I did retire, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I don't want to sit and put my feet up. That'd be awful.
Fred Mooland was born 81 years ago into a farming family in Dorset. The eldest of 4 boys, Fred learnt little at school, but was fluent in all the agricultural skills by the time he reached his teens. He longed to be a professional footballer, but made do with a more rural career. His particular pride and joy was caring for the team of heavy horses on his father's farm, despite the poor pay.
You had to work hard, and you only got just what you earned. My wages was 38 shillings a week when I got married. You had to do the ploughing, the sowing, everything on the land.
After marrying, he settled down as a farmhand on a large estate at Eyford village on the banks of the River Ouse, near Lewes. Over the years, he has done virtually every job going on the farm. Despite his age, Fred is still actively employed as a gardener and a handyman around the estate and village. His allotment yields prize-winning vegetables year in, year out, thanks to hours of back-breaking effort and country cunning. And he always has his animals to keep him company.
Tommy, pretty boy. I always have loved animals, any sort of animal. No, come on. Yeah. He's a golden pheasant, and he was an egg. And he talks to me when I'm on my own, and he's a pet. I had him brought here as an egg, put him under a bantam, and I got Tommy. And he's been my stock bird ever since. Come on. Every morning when I go there, open the door, he jumps up on that board, and he doesn't attempt to come out. Give more. It's like any pet. Come on. Come on. You take to each other. Come on. Bit more. Yeah, I like to see stuff grow. I always have. When I first left school, instead of being a cowman, I wanted to be a gardener. But in that day and age, you had to do what Father said. So it was a cowman I had to be, till I went with the horses. I grow all sorts out there. At the present day, I got carrots, parsnip, beetroot, broad beans, dwarf beans, peas, shallots. I had a chap here come for plants, and he said, "Good God, I've never seen no beans and peas look so well as that anywhere this season. How'd you manage it with all this dry weather?" I just shrugged my shoulders, I don't know. But they do look well. I've got 2 donkeys, Jenny and Bambi, and I'm very fond of them, and they are very fond of me, as I can prove. One time a day when they used to go round the towns collecting rag and bones, I always said when I was young, when I take a pension, I'm going to be a rag and bone collector. I'm going to have a donkey and cart and do it. Well, I've got my donkeys, but the trades are gone. There's an old cart. And it is an old thing too, is to get half rot. Only I've been so long making it, they got rot in the process. because it's been outside. It's a miniature Dunkard like we used to use years ago, only it doesn't tip up because I never finished it. I should be going down the old spinney and get wood down there with a chainsaw, saw up a lot. Then when I think I got an afternoon's work for the two donks and myself, with a bit of luck we'll make about 3 trips down there of an afternoon, and then I should have enough wood to last me the winter.
Fred's garden and the hedgerows around Iford village are heavy with fruit, vegetables, flowers and berries, ripe for the making of a variety of country wines. It's Fred's hobby, and one which he pursues with enthusiasm and pride. Many of his wines have won awards at local shows over the years.
I make all sorts. I make quince, I make elderberry, rhubarb, gooseberry, Mayflower champagne, elderflower champagne, beetroot wine and parsnip wine. Tea wine's my favourite because I can either put mixed fruit or raisins or dates. That way you stagger the sugar and you get 3 different varieties. You get dry, medium and sweet. And you always get the sweet with the dates. I don't make it because I drink it. I make it for a pastime. And whatever I can see out on the hedgerows or anywhere, if I think I can make a drink out of it, I always have a go. The whole wine, that is a tonic, and so is the Mayflower wine a tonic. It's a witch's brew, and it's good for their health. Anyone that comes round and fancy a glass of wine, they have it. It brings me a few visitors. I was making rhubarb and gooseberry, half and half. Instead of putting 6.5 to 7 pound of rhubarb to the gallon, I only put about 3.5. And I put 3 pound of gooseberries, which was last year's and very sweet. And for that gallon, I should get away with putting about 1 pound of sugar. It's a pleasant drink. It is a very nice flavour. And it's not a dry one, and it's not a real sweet one. And it won't be ready for about 12 months. But if I keep it 2 years, it'll be better still. This is Rice Brooks. We always used to graze it all, but now, since they cut down with the herds, they use it for corn as well as grass. They do sort of lay farming down here now. And we used to do it all by hand, cutting it and pulling it out so that the water's clear. It's very nice down here in the summer, but not in the winter. It's too wet and stodgy. But on the downs, you can nearly always find somewhere up there to walk without getting dirty. And on a clear day, you can see so much further. When I used to come out early and do the dairy, you could see the rice bank from home, but all this used to be like level with mist, where it laid in the valley. You can sit here and relax, you can see the water, you can see all the scenery, you can look up on the Mount Cavan, you can watch the motorway, see the traffic go along, and it's like being in heaven, you're in peace. You hear the frog every so often. The old herons, they stop on the brooks chiefly. They don't go to the river much. I don't think they like the salt water. There's a couple of herons' nests in that spinney where I was yesterday. I have semi-retired, though I work harder now than I did before. I used to come down here with a mate fishing, but I'm afraid that day's gone. I haven't got time. My eldest boy come hedge laying with me once. I wanted him to take it up. And he said, no fear. He says, only bloody fools and horses work like that. And he's taken to it like a duck taking to water, and he wouldn't give it up. It means that the old traditions, the old skills won't die out quite so soon. A good hedge laid is better than barbed wire for cattle to shelter under. As you know by the hedge layer's poem, why we do it. Farmer's hedge was a terrible mess. 'Twas tall and overgrown. Brambles and briars had taken over, and the headland couldn't be mown. The gaps appeared where the hedge had died, where that old doomed cow could creep. The hedge was full of well-trod tracks by the feet of many sheep. The hedger arrived with gloves and tools, sharp and ready for the task. But before he started to put things right, he had a hot drink from his flask. The hedge at last began to take shape. With the slasher the brambles are cleared. With his billock he cuts his binders and stakes and sharpens them just like spears. Welding his beetle he drives the stakes in firm to hold the hedge in place. Layer upon layer the boughs are laid, or partly cut through at their base. The hedge complete with great craft and skill. He's tired at the end of the day, so down to the pub for a pint or two, because he knows the sheep won't stray.
Now there are 3 generations of Moulins famous for their hedge laying.
It took him 4 years to persuade me to go hedge laying, and I went along and I met the fellas and I got hooked. All his life he's been a hard-working fellow, as you can see by his allotment, and it seems a shame really to think that there's a lot of his knowledge that will go and disappear when, well, a few years, another 20 years we hope, that when he leaves us. It does seem a shame, because he was a thatcher and made his own rabbit nets and all that. And it takes people to tell you what a marvellous old gentleman he is, and he is really, yeah.
Unlike Edith, Fred has lived alone since his wife Daisy died 4 years ago. When he goes home after a hard day's work, he relaxes with a pipe and his memories.
We got married against their parents' wish. And there's a proof in the photo with her aunt, her uncle, and her cousins. None of my people in the church whatsoever. Daisy Florence. And I made the right move when I married her. We was happy. Right up to the end. It's not fair why they should take one and not the other. I'm over 80, and my father lived to be 96. And unfortunate, I look like catching him up.
Next Tuesday's programme visits Cowdray Park, home to the sport of kings and princes, polo. That's A Taste of the South, Tuesday at 7:30.